Yeah, so I am Emily Linneman. I'm the Executive Director of the Association of British Neurologists. It's what it sounds like. It's an organisation for mainly consultant neurologists across the UK. We have around 2,000 members. Yes, I think in our current CRM to do any kind of analysis at all. So everything is being done by downloading the data and then trying to do the analysis through spreadsheets, for instance. We've been looking at kind of how much time that's taking up in the office. It's obviously taking up a huge amount of staff time. We think it's at least sort of £35,000 a year's worth of time, which is basically a whole other staff member. So I think there's clearly a problem there. And I think the other piece that is really difficult to do right now, but we want to be able to do, is to think, what have we done that's made that change? Or what have we not done that's meant that the change has happened? So I think there's sort of layers of analysis that we're just not currently, we're not doing, but actually partly the reason we're not doing it is because we haven't got a good system for doing it, a good capability. Yeah, I think that was actually really useful because I think we don't always, again, I think it's about time, right? We don't always sit down and take the time to think about what our priorities are. So I think what kind of emerged from that really is us thinking a bit more about the sponsorship offer. But I think what kind of was clear from that is actually, if you don't have clear goals that you can kind of set yourselves, it's actually pretty hard to evaluate as well. It's made us think a lot more about, well, what are we actually trying to get out of things that we're doing, and what do we want to see as a change as a result? Yeah, and I think that's definitely true. I think it's clear that you understand the membership space and the sort of, and I do think there are a lot of shared priorities across a variety of different membership organisations, even if we're not working in exactly the same sort of industry. I think actually there was a bit of skepticism from me because I was thinking, well, first of all, we're quite small. 2,000 members, yes, okay, but it's not that big. We don't really have that much data. So, actually, what can AI do beyond just us smartening up with a new CRM and the new CRM potentially having better tools for kind of clicking? But I think what has kind of emerged from working with you is that there is an extra layer that the AI can do that we're not necessarily thinking about, because it shows you things that you wouldn't have asked necessarily. And I think that's been really beneficial. I think just because you've got not so much data and it's simple data doesn't actually mean that there's not some interesting and complex insights in there. So I think that's what it's shown me. Yes, I think if you look at the headline figures for ABN, our membership income is growing. So that looks great. And it makes you go, brilliant, our membership income's gone up, sort of pat ourselves on the back. However, it had already been a fear of mine that the reason it was growing is because we have more consultant neurologists. But what's happening is that as they're converting from trainee level or student level, we're not backfilling with new young people, basically. And what your data analysis was able to show us is that our sort of hunch that we hadn't perhaps been able to really pin down was correct, and that actually there is a change in our younger membership demographic, and that could potentially be a challenge for us.
It's about sort of strengthening that top of funnel.
Yeah, I think it was the size of the difference, that because it's hidden in the income, because people who are in the higher grades pay a lot more money. It could give you the impression that even if we're losing a few from lower grade membership, actually overall we're doing really well on membership. Tick, great, brilliant. And I think what that showed is it's not a small loss, but also what it showed was that when people are members, they convert. So we know once we have our retention, once we have anyone at any grade of membership is pretty good. So we know if we can get people to join at the junior level, we'd probably be able to keep them. So that's brilliant. So that means, right, we really do know this is like the on-ramp, and we've got to get people interested at that stage. So then we have to think about how we do that, because that isn't and hasn't always been the focus of the association in the past. they're doctors and some of them are researchers. They always want to see the data underpinning decisions. So it gives us as staff a really good, clear platform to go to the trustees to say, we think we need to do this. It might include needing some resource, whether that's financial or human. And I think that makes us feel a bit more kind of, powerful, as it were, and able to put our points of view across more easily to the trustees. And it gives the trustees a sense of security, that they know they're making a decision based not just on the kind of the whim or the feeling, but they're making a decision based on data they can see. And I think in the end, it's going to make us focus our time better in terms of, right, well, actually, we know that we want to do this piece of work, and now we have this data to back us up, and now we know how to focus it as well. So it means that we're not spending lots of time worrying about things that actually aren't happening, and we're only thinking about the things that we need to. So I think it can a bit like the opportunity cost in terms of money, there's also an opportunity to cost in terms of time. And I think this really does, in the end, can save you time, because it can allow you to be more focused. I think this has just showed that there is much more complexity to the data, but that it can be looked at in a way that doesn't take you, the organization, lots of time, and then helps you and gives you time back in the end.
Yeah.
So it's knowing that you have that understanding of the sector, but also just seeing what you've come up with. It's helpful, and it's making conversations on the office different. It's made our conversations with trustees different. So therefore, it's having an impact, and that means that you don't. I don't feel skeptical about it, because I can see that there's an impact to it. You will get something out of it. You don't know what you don't know, so it's good to do it, and that it's not difficult. It's something that there's a reason to send us to do it, because you know what you're doing, and you'll do it in a way that's useful for that specific organization and not generic.